Minneapolis man shot in police custody.
New legislation regarding gray wolves. I'm Melissa Lambert.
And I'm Dane Wormlinger, and this is your Public Eye News. The suspect accused of threatening to shoot African-American students at Michigan Tech University has been arraigned in Houghton County District Court. Matthew Schultz was arraigned on a misdemeanor charge of disturbing the peace. Michael Makinen, a Houghton County prosecutor, and Michigan Tech officials are still investigating the case. Schultz was arrested in connection to a post made on Yik Yak, an anonymous social media app which threatened the black community at Michigan Tech. Michigan Tech's president Glenn Mroz says Schultz has been served with an interim suspension and has been banned from campus. And continuing the story on Sunday night, Michigan Tech students protested asking for more severe charges to be filed against Matthew Schultz. A peace march was held on campus and moved through downtown Houghton to the county courthouse. Black students were demanding for better justice to be served, as they say their lives are not jokes. Christina Welch, lead protester and African-American student at Michigan Tech, said that, quote, "I think the next step is to attend the arraignment and see what happens," end quote. The university's administration was in full support of the peace march.
Northern Michigan University will receive a $30,000 grant from the Michigan State Police Campus Sexual Assault Grant Program. The program promotes new strategies to alter the overall culture of sexual assault with education and will impact students and educators, as well as students in the surrounding school districts. Many of the broad goals include disclosure, legal requirements, and reducing an intimidation factor surrounding the topic. NMU Department Head of Sociology and Anthropology, Dr. Alan McEvoy, said that he wants people to know that men don't have to be part of the problem, but part of the solution. Gray wolves in Michigan, Wisconsin, Minnesota, and Wyoming could soon be taken off the endangered species list. New legislation was introduced to Congress this week about the wolves, and it has sparked debate about whether agencies should be able to control the wolf population. The Department of Natural Resources says the number of wolf-related deaths has decreased from last year, but farmers want to have the right to defend their livestock from the wolves if necessary. The Keep Michigan Wolves Protected campaign says a good compromise would be to change the status of the gray wolf to threatened, but the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service vetoed that.
Governor Rick Snyder announced the appointment of Carl Weber of Marquette to the 96th District Court in Marquette County today. Snyder says that, quote, "Carl has shown that he has the leadership, work ethic, and legal skills requisite of serving in a judicial capacity," end quote. Weber's appointment fills the vacancy created by the resignation of Judge Dennis Gerard. Weber will stand for election in 2016 for a full-length 6-year term. And Dearborn, Michigan police say that they are investigating a threat made on social media site Twitter targeting the Muslim population. The tweet is gaining plenty of attention on social media. A person going by the name of Sarah Beebe on Twitter said that, quote, "Dearborn, Michigan has the highest Muslim population in the United States. Let's expletive that place up and send a message to ISIS. We are coming," end quote. The city says that they have located the poster of the Twitter threat toward Dearborn. They say that there is no danger to residents and thank the community for reporting the incident. And after the break, we'll be back with your national and international news.
Suvetar hyvä emäntä nouse, härjä katsomaan viitimä. Ei männän viljaa, kun ei tuskiin tulisi.
Watch Tuesday evening at 8 o'clock Eastern.
And welcome back. The Department of Justice announced a $95.5 million settlement between the Obama administration and a Pittsburgh company that enrolls students at for-profit trade schools across the country. Education Management Corporation allegedly used illegal enrollment incentives to pay recruiters and exaggerated its career placement ability. The firm operates under Art Institutes, South University, Argosy University, and Brown Mackie College, and will be paying the penalty throughout 2022. The company will also forgive student loans to those who left their schools within the first 45 days of attendance between 2006 and 2014. And police departments in major cities in the U.S. are on high alert this morning. Security has been upgraded following the terror attack in Paris, and now ISIS has made a new threat. CBS News correspondent Hannah Daniels reports from New York City.
A new ISIS video threatens an attack on Washington, D.C., as well as countries taking part in airstrikes in Syria. Security has already been upgraded across the U.S. At NFL games yesterday, ticket holders faced increased precautions, including bomb-sniffing dogs and bans on backpacks and purses.
I'm glad the security's here.
New York City's police commissioner William Bratton said this morning on MSNBC's Morning Joe that his department is treating the Paris attacks as if they could happen here. He says the department will send officers to France this week to learn what they can, since the attacks featured new elements.
The idea that all of them were equipped with these suicide vests, which are of great concern if you're asking your officers to rush in, which is the tactic here in America now, that responding to the active shooter scenario.
Commissioner Bratton says the NYPD has successfully thwarted 20 attacks since 9/11, including right here in Times Square. He says New York City is the #1 terrorist target in the world.
The terrorist wants to get the biggest bang for the buck possible. So they're not necessarily going to go to extra small places. They want to go to places where people know and recognize.
The Department of Homeland Security says it has detected no direct threats against the U.S. Hannah Daniels for CBS News, New York.
Community members and activists in Minneapolis demanded on Monday that the city police department identify an officer who shot a black man suspended in an assault and release video of the incident. Witnesses say that the man was handcuffed where he was shot, sparking protests, including an overnight encampment outside a police precinct on the city's north side. Police did not release the name of the man who was shot. However, the family identified him as 24-year-old Jamar Clark. Police said that their investigation showed that the man was not handcuffed at the time of the shooting, but the state's Bureau of Criminal Apprehension was investigating. Authorities said on Monday that they had no new information to release to the public on the shooting. And there are 18 declared candidates left in the Republican and Democratic race for president, and one of them will be the next president of the United States. All of them are trying to figure out how to deal with ISIS and the threat of terrorism at home in light of the attacks in Paris last week. Craig Boswell has the story from the White House.
Presidential hopefuls on the campaign trail have shifted their talking points to U.S. foreign policy after the terrorist attacks in Paris.
Attacking Paris, the city of light, reminds us that there is no middle ground in going after these terrorists.
Every candidate agrees ISIS must be defeated in order to keep America safe, but there is plenty of debate as to how to pull that off.
At the end of the day, this is a war for the soul of Islam, and those Muslim nations are going to have to get their boots on the ground.
There are also many differences on how to keep a Paris-style attack from happening here at home, and some presidential candidates are focusing on a White House plan to bring 10,000 Syrian refugees to America.
ISIS has not hidden their intention. The Islamic State, the Caliphate, has stated their intention to murder Americans.
Donald Trump and Ben Carson have joined Ted Cruz in calling on the president to end his plan, while Governor Jeb Bush tells CBS this morning the program should focus on Christian refugees.
They're being slaughtered in the country, and but for us, who would take care of the number of Christians that right now are completely displaced?
In Turkey Monday morning, President Obama rejected the call to just admit Christians, saying even Pope Francis called on compassion for all refugees. Craig Boswell, CBS News, the White House.
UN Chief Ban Ki-moon will visit North Korea to meet with Kim Jong-un to discuss the country's nuclear weapons program. According to South Korea's Yonhap news agency, this will be the first time the head of an international body will visit North Korea in over 2 decades. The news agency cited a high-level UN source, but neither country has confirmed the visit. Ban was due to visit the border city Kaesong earlier this year, but Pyongyang unexpectedly withdrew the invitation. His administration has not yet commented on the visit, but will as soon as anything changes. And stay tuned, because after the break, we'll be back with your weather and sports.
Next time on Frontline, ISIS in Afghanistan. They are claiming territory from the Taliban and training the next generation.
Jihad. Jihad story.
With rare access, correspondent Najibullah Qureshi on a dangerous journey behind the lines. A Frontline special report.
Tuesday evening at 10 on Public TV 13.
Welcome back to your Public Eye News. I'm Dan Campen, and as you can see, currently on Northern Michigan University's campus, we have a little bit of sun poking through those clouds, and if you haven't got outside yet today, I recommend it, because this might be one of the last nice days that we have for a little while. Currently, it's partly cloudy with a temperature of 55 degrees, winds out of the south at 11 miles per hour, and a barometric pressure of 30.09 inches and falling. Tonight, expect mostly cloudy skies with a low of 43 and winds out of the south-southeast at 14 miles per hour. And tomorrow, expect a windy day with some showers possible in the PM, high of 53 degrees, and winds out of the south-southeast at 21 miles per hour. All around the UP today, it's fairly cloudy. Up in Sault Ste. Marie, it's 49, Manistee is 50, Escanaba is 52, and Menominee is 53 with a little bit of sun poking through. It's also 53 in Iron Mountain, 54 in Ironwood, it's 50 with a little bit of sun in Houghton, and back here in Marquette, it's 55 and just partly cloudy. Let's take a look at your week ahead. On Wednesday, expect a high of 55 degrees, a low of 37 degrees, and some rain. On Thursday, more rain with a high of 40 and a low of 27. And on Friday, expect a high of 37, a low of 25, and for that rain to turn to snow. Well, Abby, I might be one of the few people in Marquette who's excited about the snow that's going to hopefully come our way. What I'm not excited about is those Green Bay Packers losing to the Detroit Lions.
That's right, Dan. The Detroit Lions have ended their 24-year losing streak in Green Bay by beating the Packers in one of the biggest upsets of the NFL season. Detroit, having the league's worst record of 1-7, fought hard to gain their 18-16 win on Sunday. The Packers nearly sent the game into overtime with 32 seconds to go, but their offense failed a two-point conversion within the last minute. With a second attempt at the win, Mason Crosby's game-winning field goal attempt was no good. At 2-7, the Lions are still a last-place team in the league, but the Packers have also fallen from a 6-0 streak to 6-3 in a hurry. The Northern Michigan University volleyball team confirmed their spot in the Great Lakes Intercollegiate Athletic Conference tournament with a win against Northwood Saturday. The Wildcats pulled a 25-23 victory in the first set at the Bennett Center in front of 225 fans. Northern continued the next two sets similarly, winning each by a 25-13 margin. The match began tough as teams were tied at 7 different points in the first set. From the beginning of the first set, the Wildcats did not allow the Timberwolves back within 4. The 7th seed Wildcats faced second-seeded Findlay in the quarterfinals on November 18th at 7 p.m. in Findlay, Ohio. MMA fighter Ronda Rousey suffers her first loss against Holly Holm and loses her women's bantamweight title. The fight started in Holm's favor as she landed powerful shots to Rousey's head, giving her a bloodied nose. Rousey attempted to dominate the second round until Holm dealt a massive kick to the head that instantly dropped her opponent. Rousey was unbeaten through 12 UFC fights until meeting Holm, a veteran female boxer from New Mexico. So I hear Philadelphia is having some problems with runaway zebras.
Well, they definitely are, Abby. In West Philadelphia, you won't find the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, but you will find some animals on the loose. A pair of zebras escaped from the Universal Circus around 2 p.m. on Sunday and went running through the streets before being captured. The police on their Twitter account an hour later said that the zebras were in custody and joked that the pair was to be put on trial. No injuries were reported in the incident. And DUI arrests happen more frequently than before, but what about 2 in a single day? Police in Pennsylvania arrested and charged Michelle Leonard of Somerset with drunken driving after crashing her car at 5 p.m. Saturday, but then released her. Upon release, she offered a stranger $3 for a ride back to a vehicle that she entered and began driving once again. Police say she then lost control of the car and sideswept a parked car around 6 p.m. I wonder if she saw the zebras on her way out.
Yeah. I guess the stories aren't all black and white like we all might assume.
Exactly. And that's all the time we have for you today at Public Eye News. Tune in again tomorrow.
Program was produced in studios located in the Edgar L. Hardin Learning Resources Center by WNMU-TV